Hello, everybody. Good to see everyone out there. This is a midweek show in the middle of the busiest month of the year, so I am super stoked for it. It also trends very well with my professionalism that earlier today I won Booktuber of the Year, and we start late because I didn't get this going on time. So I'm very happy about that. I'm even more happy with my guest today, who's going to be joining me. This is a long time coming, someone I have admired behind the scenes and to his face virtually, I guess, for a couple of years at this point. His first book was one of the first books in the indie scene that I read, and it still stands as a paramount on the top of the mountain of not just indie writing, but all encompassing. It is fantastic, and all the praise for it is very well deserved. Everything he's written since then, luckily for all of us, has been equal to the task. He's a fantastic writer and a very, very cool person. I love talking to him behind the scenes about all sorts of stuff, which we'll get into tonight. But bringing to the stage now, Mr. Michael Michel.
I feel like I should do some tumble or flourish, I got nothing. Nothing at all. Just another bald guy in a black shirt representing
Exactly.
bald brotherhood. Although
Honestly,
you're like a squire right now.
yeah.
You're not like fully bald knighted.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but someday I believe in you, Pete.
I'm working on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Perfect. I'm happy to hear that you're still happy with me, by the way. That I haven't left you hanging for too long. Remind me, were you a beta reader for book 3? I
I
just
was
read book
not.
3.
No, I'm an
Ah,
art boy.
you're an arc boy. All right. All right. I'm excited for you. I'm working. I've got about 80,000, maybe more actually, maybe closer to 90,000 words edited and rewritten, pretty much all in the month of November for book 3 out of
Wow.
230,000. And so, I'm really hoping to be taking a chunk out of that in the last part of this month. And I'll say it here first, I guess. Breaking news: delay on book 3, because once I finish editing, rewriting, I'm gonna need to get it, do a proof, and then I'll send it out to ARCs, and then well, I don't know. We're thinking spring, spring for book 3. Sorry to say, but also, it'll be worth the wait. It's the best one yet. So
Of course it is. It's sorry, not sorry. That works out very well. I'm going to be having a second child in February, so I'm going to get that. And while I'm putting her down, I'm just going to have this cracked open reading. So for me,
nice,
it couldn't work out better.
nice.
Everyone else,
Congrats.
thank you. Everyone else waiting with bated breath. You got to take a breather.
Yeah, get out there and have kids, everybody, so you can get ready for book 3. That's the
Exactly. By
best.
the time these kids that you're putting into the universe come, it'll be a delay of book 4, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Fair. So bring it full circle. When I was stay-at-home dadding many, many moons ago with my daughter, who's on the verge of 18. I don't know what that was. Did you hear that? I assume you heard
yeah,
that.
your
Was that
house
a
almost
honk?
got hit. Someone honked
Yeah,
at you.
yeah. I hope there's not an emergency out there. Oh, let me check my phone really quick. Nope, no emergency. Okay, we're good. So to bring it full circle, that's when I watched The Wire for the first time. I was like holding my baby, watching The Wire. For those who don't know, Pete and I are massive fans of The Wire. Oh, Omar coming. There it is. Hey, good taste, my friend. Good
Oh,
taste.
likewise. We
Yeah.
bonded over that and Shogun.
Oh, Shogun. Shogun is fire. I love
Mm-hmm.
Shogun. You could probably hear my wife smacking she's abusing some garlic in the background. How loud is it? Is it okay?
Italian household.
Yeah. She wishes she was Italian. Her family thought they were Mm. They thought they were Italian, then they did one of those. Her dad did like one of those things, like, Italian family, and then they did like this DNA thing, and it's like, oh, just regular old whites.
He was still a third Italian.
Oh, he's still a third Italian. Wire is based. What does that even mean?
I think based means good. I'm the oldest 36-year-old you've ever met. So when people say based, I'm like, dude, yeah. But I'm pretty sure it means good, which I want to hear how you, before we even get into the books, I want to hear what you were talking about with your daughter and The Wire, because I had a very similar thing with a HBO show.
Yeah. Well, I'd be holding her and just like watching The Wire, and just, it was like me and The Wire. There's not like other stuff you can do when you're like holding a baby, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could read a book or watch a thing or walk around, but that's, ain't nobody got, my arms are strong, but they are not that strong. So they're not prehistoric child rearing strong. So yeah, I watched The Wire. It was great. I watched The Wire and Firefly.
I haven't watched Firefly yet.
I was watching the best shows of my life back then, dude. There were some good ones. Oh, you haven't watched Firefly? Oh,
I have not.
Firefly is amazing, and I'll say I was the first person that I was aware of at the Dragon Con BarCon to notice Kaylee, who's from Firefly, a main character, and get a picture with her. And that was pretty hardcore fanboy moment for me. It was so cool. Her and the Stargate Atlantis crew were the only, it was like authors at Dragon Con in the Weston Bar. And then it was the Stargate Atlantis cast.
Wow. I'd love to see the crossover, the Venn diagram of that for those fandoms.
It was weird. Well, it was like a retreat, like after all the fandom things happen, then all the authors flee to their little drunken corner of the con. And that was there. But for some, infiltrated by actors.
Interesting. That's a wild group of people to have shown up like that, but a good one.
Yeah, it was fun for me. I mean, I got fanboys, so there it is.
Every once in a while, I still, I'm just in a rewatch now, but I'm doing The Sopranos, which is what I did with my daughter. And then I started, and you hit that age around like 4 or 5 months where she's like side-eyeing the TV, and I was like, yeah, I gotta stop watching this. Like, I think she's catching on.
Yeah, Tony's at the strip club, and you're like, do I want her to see this? I just watched The Sopranos for the first time all the way through this beginning of the summer was when I finished. Pretty great ending. Man, I obsessed over the last scene of the last episode. Obsessed.
Yeah.
And I literally read a like 20-page screen grab by screen grab, like shot by shot description of what is occurring, just because it was like just so expertly laid out. We won't get in the spoiler zone, but
yeah. Although the spoiler zone is kind of, I almost feel fair game after 17 years or however long it's been. That's good enough. It's like saying like
John and Danny are related.
Fellowship destroyed the ring. Like,
yeah,
we're pushing it.
Yeah, that's fair. But I feel like for things that are that popular, yes. If we were gonna say like, reveal the ending of Dark or something that's a little more under the radar,
yeah,
because you got to honor the fact that it hasn't quite hit the stratosphere of popularity yet.
Yeah, you got to leave a little breathing room.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's cool that you did the Sopranos. I watched that. That last season was the first one I watched with my dad when I was in high school. I don't know why I watched the ending season, and I heard it was the best show ever. I start watching it, and he's in a coma, and I was like, this shit sucks. Like, what? Because I missed everything before it. I was like, this is the best show you ever. This is boring as hell. But then when you go back and watch it, it's like, oh yeah, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. Oh man, I actually loved all the dream sequences.
Great.
They were so well done. I wouldn't say it's like one of my top shows. I thought it was really good, and I respect and I can see how people really like it, as opposed to my most unpopular opinion, which is that Breaking Bad sucks.
We don't have time to go into this now. I'm going to disagree, but
I'm
I'm
just
also
saying,
going to
it sucks.
say, I'm going to say that while it previously was 1A, then you start watching The Wire, Dark, The Sopranos, and all of a sudden Breaking Bad's taking a little bit of a free fall.
Yeah, yep. Have you seen there's this like image of the top rated shows with the top review platforms. There's like 15 review platforms at least, and then by episode rating or season rating. And so by the metrics and the data, it shows what the best shows of all time are. It's the top 50. And I would say it's got most of the best shows of all time.
Mm-hmm.
The order I would debate, but most of them are within 5 to 10 spots of where I would think most people would end up organizing it.
Yeah.
If we got like the population together and got like a scatter chart, right? And it's a little dated because like Arcane isn't on there, right? But it had Breaking Bad as number 1, and I'm like, The Wire is number 3.
See, I'm
Game of
fine
Thrones
with
is
it being
number 2.
Yeah.
And then Dark is like number 15, I think. And I was like, that's actually pretty good for Dark.
It's really impressive for a German show and like dubbed.
That's unknown also.
Yeah.
I mean, it's by the people who've seen it, it is known.
Yeah, for sure.
For the ones who have not, I mean, nobody really knows what it is whenever I talk about it. So there you go.
And yeah, that's close to a masterpiece show. Those 3 of them, at least, that we've talked about.
Have you seen? I just have to talk about Dark for 1 second. And this isn't a spoiler. However, if you look at the guide, there's a guide. Yeah, don't watch it. I actually watched it dubbed, and then I watched it subtitled. The acting, the tone, the tension, everything is so much better when there's subtitles.
Yeah,
you lose so much of the human language when you remove tonality. I believe it accounts for 38% of communication and perception and communication. 55% body language, 38% tone and inflection, and math, 7%. No, 8% words, the actual words. Anyways, total sidetrack. But when you go, I think it's a Netflix like guide. So like you can click on season 1, episode 9, and it'll show you the time jumps, right? On this linear graph, and it'll show you where they go and when. And it tracks all the time jumps, right? And it makes a little arc. When you click the final episode of the final season, it creates a symbol. Have you seen that?
No.
Go look at it, Pete. Because when you see it, it's a very important symbol to the show.
Yeah.
And when you think about the level of writing, like I think it's the greatest feat of writing, book, show, movie, ever. Like that single thing, to be able to do that is mind-blowing to me. I think it so
I'm gonna check it out. Some would say based.
Yes.
Current, I got you. See, we're learning. That's what we do on this show. We learn. We have a good time and we learn.
Oh yeah. Do we? What am I gonna learn today? Teach me something, Pete.
We learned what based meant. And we learned what shows were a masterpiece. And in my elegant way of segueing in, I am going to pop up the cover for Price of Power, because I would consider this a near masterpiece, my friend. This is
the cover or the book?
All of it. First off, I meant to grab it. It's on the shelf behind me. I have the OG cover, which I also loved. I want to get into the re-releasing as well. But yes, book 1 here, Price of Power. If you go back actually, and the way we were talking about lists of greatest shows ever, greatest everything like that, Price of Power really shows up on a lot of favorite indie lists of all time. And it should be in books in general, not just indie. But for people who aren't as familiar, can you just give a very brief synopsis onto the storyline where we pick up, and we can go from there?
Whoa, a brief synopsis of book 1?
Yes, and the series, and then we'll just carry onwards. But I know we don't have to get into the
try.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll try. While my wife organizes her rain stick and symbol collection back here, I will definitely attempt Good God, she seriously is though. She's like, oh, just polishing some more gems in the fucking rock tumbler. Get out of here.
I was about to
Nah,
say who does that at night, but it's like 6:20 by you, so I'll let it slide.
yeah, it's
She's
barely
cool.
nighttime here. It's barely nighttime. She thought I was funny, so that's why she married me. It's my jokes.
I
She'll
hear
beat me.
that.
She'll beat me later.
Blink twice.
Blink.
There we go.
I'm blinking. Please help. Um, she looked at me scary. Okay, so The Price of Power, synopsis of book one. This is
It's
okay. You
hard.
said you're going to teach something. I didn't know I was going to feel like I was like presenting to class like the hardest project ever.
Dude,
This
you
is
need a
so
sales pitch.
tricky. Do you want a synopsis or do you want a pit like a
Give a
elevator pitch?
pitch. We'll pivot.
Okay.
We'll pivot.
Okay. The Price of Power is like takes the character scope, the size of cast of Game of Thrones, as well as the political intrigue, and kind of marries it to the magic system of X-Men, except that magic is not the focus. The focus of the book is characters. And so the book is centered around four main characters in book one. Thefos, a pig farmer who is suicidal, who really is just called to spend his last moments of life doing something kind of extraordinary and seeing what happens. Barrowdane Ironlight, who is a prince everyone thinks is dead. After ending a war, he disappeared. Now he's a drug dealer living in a little shit town, and he's addicted to drugs, and he's an alcoholic, and he's really cynical and really kind of shitty. But an old friend comes to find him and bring him back into the fold to help unite the country, because the tenuous political system that was cobbled together by his grandfather long ago is in jeopardy without a leader to rally around, even though it's kind of like a collective decision-making force. But money has entered the picture, and the people who have the money are like, wait, we had the money. Can't we also have the power? Not unlike our own political map here in America. And so that's Barrowdane. He has to fight some people coming in on his drug turf, and also find his reason to maybe return or not to the crown. Ishoa Ironlight, his niece, she is orphaned and kind of being taught by her great grandmother, who's also working against the political machinations of a zealot and fanatic who is part of a lower caste in their society. And so she has to go through these trials in order to earn her vote in the court and ensure they have the right power balance in order to keep denying the Scarborn, who are the people who are trying to kind of rise up and gain equality again. And then there is a grandmother and her grandson, Acurus, and she is training him to sacrifice himself for the good of the world to prevent the doom that will accompany the arrival of the Arrow of Light. The Arrow of Light is a young boy. He's a boy prophet in Scothea, and everybody's rallying around him. So you've got Namar with no real clear leader fighting amongst themselves. Scothea, everybody's rallying around this one guy. Scothea likes to invade Namar. So yeah, there it is. That's the synopsis.
And that was pretty good, I would say.
It was better than I expected it to be. Goodness
That's what
gracious.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Whew.
No. And that synopsis, while being very good, is perfectly surface level. And it's exactly what you said. The book is very heavily character driven. Some of the best character work I've read. And I remember when you were doing your AMA on the Grim Dark Epic Fantasy page that you described it, especially book one, as the first log with plot, which is one, hilarious, and two, very accurate. But going very heavy character driven like that, how do you balance the world building um, all of the different lands and nations, everything going on in the different POVs with the heavy character development that you mentioned to make us stay as invested in the characters.
Well, it's actually a little easier than it looks. So I find that I've always thought that villains were more interesting than heroes because they tend to be more complex, right? You grow up as a kid, and when you're young and you see like you're exposed to like hero stuff or fantasy stuff, and it's like all the heroes are kind of Gary Stews and Mary Sue's, and I got real bored of that real quick.
Mhm.
And so I was like, who else we got? Oh, this villain, but why? And so any media that would show a villain that their backstory, I'd be like, okay, now I'm getting it. This is making sense. Now this is a higher level of writing and story that I can kind of be interested in, right? And so um, that's like one piece of it, right? And then I just find I've always respected more and more like the side characters. I always think the side characters are better. It's like, who's the character that sacrificed themselves? Who's the character that's funny but also interesting? They're the ones that really feel a lot of the time like they're moving the plot and moving the world. And the more I focus on this, the more it became relevant to me, that everything operates through characters, right? The world building, the heart of the story, all the action, the dialogue, every part of a story should be filtered through character. And so when I do world building or magic systems or whatever aspects people often will silo, right, separate from characters, I actually pass those things through character, right?
Mhm.
They each informs the other. And to me, what that does is that kind of gives the world more life. It makes it more authentic. It makes readers more engaged because now it's not just like, oh, this is the character, and then all these other ones I don't really care about, but they are like a part of it. It's like this guy's here for the door, or like he's here, this lady's here in order for them to get a piece of information, or this.
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't know, that just sucks. It's like, why I have this many pages, why waste some percentage of them on things that don't matter
Mhm.
when I can actually, that's real estate. This is real estate on a shelf or electronically online. And so you're not gonna build a house with a bunch of fucking 2x4s that make a triangle that doesn't do anything and isn't appealing, right?
Mhm.
I mean, maybe you will, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You would try to make the space in the house as useful as possible. And so, whether it's world building, magic systems, whatever it is, it should be relevant and salient to the characters.
Mhm.
And so that's always my focus. And so I'm yeah. See, this person knows my Miriam Yvette, Evete,
Bet.
Yvette,
Um,
Miriam. Maybe it's one name, Miriam. But you're right. Side characters are. That's one thing I love. Game of Thrones. I love that series so much, and the thing I respect George R. R. Martin for the most is his ability to introduce a character. They get two sentences, die, and yet you walk away going, "That character was such a badass. God, I love them."
mhm.
Right, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, and it's very funny too to talk about the side characters that are the best because the four that you mentioned that are our POVs are all great, but I made sure to write down the madness and Walst. There are so many ones behind the scenes where it's just when you get to them, it's like I want a side story. Like I want to go through
Mhm.
this because this is amazing. And
Mhm.
it kind of goes like with what we've already been talking about with like the heavy character work um, and making them very relatable. Um, and I think a really good question that I'm always interested in knowing is what do you think the most important factors are in a character to keep them relatable? Like when you're creating it, how do you go about putting those things in that keep us invested in their story?
Great question. So oftentimes when you're writing, you're hold on one second.
He has to phone a friend. My question was so good. This is just dad life, by the way. I have a baby monitor to the side. If anyone keeps wondering why my eyes
Nice.
are drifting.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so great question. Actually, it was because I had no answer and I was just freaked out. No, I'm just
I said
kidding.
you phoned a friend.
I did. Okay, so um, the thing that I learned when I was watching, I was rewatching Game of Thrones, and I noticed that characters just it's two things, right? So I called it a rock and a hard place. That's what they always had. Everyone had their rock, and everybody had their hard place. Okay. If you watch Game of Thrones, just try this out. I mean, I maybe I'll be wrong, but like I tested it and I was like, wow, literally, actually, it's kind of annoying now that I've noticed it. Right? It'll be like this. Tyrion would be like, um, "Oh, our father loves you more than me, Cersei." Right? And then Cersei will be like, "But I'm not a man, so he loves you." And he'd be like, "But I'm just a dwarf. Nothing is worse than being a dwarf." And then she's like, "Well, I have a family, and that's the thing I'll always protect, even if you are a dwarf." And so it'd be this back and forth of like, Cersei is in a world born of men, or like where men are in power, and she hates it. Right? That's the hard place, and family is her rock.
Mm.
Tyrion is a dwarf, and that's his hard place, and his family also. Like Jamie is his like rock, and they
Mhm.
just tend to go back and forth. John, it's like honor and duty, the wall, and then he's like, "But I'm a bastard," and every scene it's just a rock and a hard place, and they just talk about each other's rock and hard place in different scenarios and circumstances. And what I've learned from being a counselor and a coach is that it's actually kind of the same, right? I would say that's been probably the single most important factor for me in being able to write good characters is having talked to and gotten in the weeds with people's beliefs about themselves, um, and understanding that everybody is the same.
Mm.
Everybody actually wants the same stuff. Full stop. Everybody struggles with the same things. The metaphor for what that means, like the metaphor for it, that's what changes, right? So the window dressing changes,
Mm.
but the underneath always ends up being the same. Like we all have like a rock and a hard place, and there's like they're not all the same, but there's like maybe a menu of like 10 things, right? That it ends up being, and then the metaphors can be expressed differently.
Mhm.
But so I mean, like that understanding has probably been the most helpful thing for me
Mm.
in writing characters. And I actually can't even remember what your question is or if I even answered, but that is an
You
answer.
actually did. That is
Okay.
for sure an answer. It just so happened to be the right one as well. So
I
that worked
talked.
out.
You heard me talking, and something was said that I
Yeah,
know.
there was definitely a period at the end of that. So it hammered it home, which is very nice. I love that. Love
Knowing
that
me,
for
it's more of an M dash, but
us. Speaking of Game of Thrones and other influences like that, we were talking in one of our groups a little bit earlier, and how I guess kind of difficult it can be to make your book and your series unique in a world where so much comes out, especially fantasy now with kind of the way things are blowing up, or have blown up, I
Mhm.
suppose. But what do you think the biggest challenge you had was as far as taking this series and this idea and the setting and making it so unique to what you wanted to do and having it stand out in a world where millions of books come out a year?
Mm. So okay. So like, if you list your top 10 books and I list my top 10 books, there's gonna be some crossover and there's gonna be some differences. If you list your top 10 shows and I list my top 10 shows, there's gonna be crossover and difference. I would suspect you could probably talk to 1,000 people and you wouldn't have the same top 10 of anything. I wonder how many people you would need to talk to have the same top 10 books, or how many people you need to talk to have the same top 10 books and shows or movies? Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that everybody is so vastly different in their tastes and preferences. When I went to write The Price of Power, I had some ideas and stuff, but then like partway through, like, I'd already written a bunch of it, but then, I did a ton of rewrites, by the way, for The Price of Power, so much to like flesh out the whole series, because I wasn't just writing one book. When I wrote The Price of Power, it wasn't one book. It wasn't like, oh, I wrote this book and I completed it, right? A lot of book ones are like, it's a complete book, like Mistborn. Excuse me, great example, where it's like, oh, it could have just kind of ended there, maybe, right? Because it felt like a complete book. And that's how a lot of book ones are in trad publishing. For me, I was writing a book one with book 5 in mind. Like from the get-go, I've had all the endings of characters mostly sussed out. I'd say I went from 50 to 80% after book 1 to, completing book 2. But when I was going through the process and stuff, bear with me. I know this is a long answer, but bear with me. When I was going through the process, I realized I'm like, but what do I like? Like, what do I love? Like, what are the things I love? And I realized, oh, if I just focus on the things I love, like, everybody's kind of different. The combination of things that I love, right? They're going to probably be familiar to a lot of people, but it's going to be so different that it could end up being unique, right? So I didn't just, like, the book is complex and intricate. I won't say complex, I'll say intricate. There's a lot of moving parts. The more of those moving parts that I can juggle, the more unique it's going to end up being. If I just go, I love Wheel of Time, right? And I love Samurai, and just solely focus on two things, it might seem more derivative and less unique, because I'm really just focusing on the two things. But for me, it's like, I love Game of Thrones. I love X-Men. Okay, throw some cannibals in there, cannibal savages. Oh, mysticism. Oh, Mayans, like Mayan and Aztec culture with like mysticism. But then I also like this idea of like assassins, and this piece from like, I want to have this. And like, I just started compiling all of these things. And I was like, let's make this work. And so I just find ways to make it work through characters and through my own things that I love and want to see in a book. So that's what I've done. I do it exactly like trying to do the book I would love to read. And yeah.
And it came out good, because a lot of people love reading it. So that, I guess, like you said, the top 10 list may not 100% be right, but you threw enough of very well thought of ingredients into this, would put your own spin on it, where it came across like, this is very unique, and it's very you, especially because the tone and the style, everything carries over, the writing style, that is, even through the prequel books, War Song and everything, and it carries over nicely. Death Dance,
Boom.
War Song, boom.
There it is. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's like, what is the book? Well, it's Raymond E. Feist's Rift War Saga, Game of Thrones, it's X-Men. I mean, those three right there, maybe a combination nobody's focused on fully, but it's also a ton of this. It's Blood Meridian, and just Cormac McCarthy in general. It's like all the short stories that I read when I was in college, from Flannery O'Connor and Jack London. It's the Seawolf. It's the it's Being Peace by Thich Nhat Hanh. Fuck, I don't know. It's neuroscience book. I don't know. It's like, it's so many of these things all crammed together, and each of them has a piece and a thread that I've done my best to see what that looks like when I wind them all together.
And it all comes together nicely. It has your own personal touch on it.
You don't even know, Pete. You don't even know how it all comes together yet. But I get what you're saying.
Yes, it's all working so far, at least. I'm sure it will continue. But I wanted to ask, because I thought this is sticking with the unique theme. I thought this was wildly unique. How you were talking about how Baradane becomes a drug dealer and drug user, all this type of stuff, and he the drug is called God's Thorn, and it kind of has different qualities to it where it's addictive, but people can use it in the sense that they are abusers and addicts, or use it to become enlightened
Mhm.
with it. And I just wanted to know where you thought that influence came from. Like, was there anything specific along the way? Because I know I'm going to lead into our music taste and everything because we have crossover there as well. But going through some of the properties of this, it was one of those things where I was like, yeah.
You're backing me into a corner here, Pete. Asking me where my influences are for a psychedelic drug in my books, bro.
I was like, this is interesting. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's interesting. It's coincidental, really,
Mm.
from a legal standpoint.
I
Very
was going to say,
cool.
you're blinking twice, I've noticed.
How can you miss it? My freaking giant cow eyes. Um, so yeah, it's. I mean, honestly, like a big part of it also comes from like Dune, like having a drug because
Mhm.
I wanted to feel like authentic and real, like having a component where I've got this mountain and people get power, but then there's also I want settlements around it. And it's like, okay, well, they're harvesting something. It's like, okay, well, let's create its own little economy and its own little ecosystem for how it's like utilized and make it like a big reason why, kind of taking some. I like history a lot, so I also take a lot of history influences. Um, Taking into this like idea of like America after World War II, our resource, it became very abundantly clear that it's like, oh shit, America is going to be like the top dog because we had so many resources. And so after Daneth kind of kicks the Scots out and they realize, hey, we could actually, if we just unite, like we're going to be a powerhouse here because we've got this like God's brew, like God's thorn that can be distilled into God's brew
Mhm.
and make a ton of money off that, and ship it all over the place. So having a drug or something be, because it's such like a, still like throughout history, some spice, some drug,
Mhm.
some mineral has always been such a focal point of political um, focus uh, and conflict. I felt like it was really important to include it. And Dune showed that it works really well in a science fiction fantasy setting to do that. And so including it, I felt added a layer of authenticity to the world that I
Mhm.
wanted to um, maintain for giving it like a gritty feel.
Mhm.
Um, and I had another thought about that. Hold on. Um, Nope, I lost it. But that's
Fluttered
really the
away.
heart of it.
That was a perfect ad. That was very cool because it wasn't something that I didn't even make the Dune connection really. And as soon as you said it, it was like, oh yeah, nice. But even I was a history major, so
Mhm.
hearing that you are also a big history guy in the way that kind of formulated it really kind of makes a lot of sense. And I think it adds a very unique element to the story. Um, you know, just that he connected a lot with me going through his whole arc and everything. So it
Mhm.
made it very easy um, to read about that, especially now knowing the backstory. That was very
Mhm.
cool.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Glad you like it.
yeah, it was cool, and it was. I wasn't fishing necessarily for the answer. I know you guys do your Burning Man trip every year, and I used to go to my music festival, so I
Oh
wasn't.
yeah.
We weren't about to commit wire conspiracy or anything federally,
Yeah,
but it was.
I'm really excited for you to read, to just continue to like as time goes and the magic system becomes more and more clear. Have you read book 2?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. So you already know like Sadiah and his whole little plot thing. Cool. So is that book 2?
I don't know. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. I left
Oh
everything
wait,
very vague.
hold on one second. Hold on. It's an intricate one. I eh, oh, okay. Yeah, I think it is in this one. Anyways, I won't say anything, but um, just as you dive into as the magic system gets full, book three, Banners of Wrath, is going to be the one where, so book one and two are like really revealing. They're kind of, you're journeying through and exploring the world through the characters, getting all this stuff. They're almost preludes to book three through five.
Mm.
And book three through five are really going to be where Dreams of Dust and Steel fully expresses itself, right? It's going to have the full cast of characters, no one out, two in kind of thing, right? It's going to fully like reveal the magic system. And people are going to start to understand and draw the connections and be like, oh, now that I get it, it's going to be like, what the hell is happening?
Hmm.
Oh, interesting, right? And so three through five is almost like I don't want to say book one and two are prologues. What I will say is book one through five is more like one gigantic book,
Mm.
which is kind of what a series is. So maybe that's a cop out, and I am just saying stupid shit. But I don't know how else to say. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not that thing I was describing earlier, where it's like it's born book one, boom. Ah, it could have been like just a great book by itself, and then there's another one. You know when it feels like a show is hit like max popularity and the
Mhm.
showrunners were like, well, we only planned for 3 seasons, but if you want to pay us $15 million a piece to do a season 4 and a 5,
Yeah,
absolutely, we'll come up with some shit that happens,
we
right?
could push this along.
It's not like that,
Hmm.
right? So that's one of the really awesome parts about being an indie author and doing this all on my own, is I have been able to steer from book one to book five, know the vision, know how I want to get there and what I'm going to get to, and absolutely deliver on an epic ending for everybody who decides to jump aboard the pain train.
Yeah, and there is still room on the pain train, but it's filling up quickly. Um, as far as I did want to definitely ask about the indie scene and your role in it, and kind of how you navigate it, because one of the big things that you did over the last year was a total rebrand, new covers, added material, everything like that. What went into your decision to do that? Because
Oh,
like we said, the cover for book one was real sick. It still is, but it was almost one of those things where when I first heard that there was new covers coming out, I was like, I like book one's cover. I still like it, so it works. But what went into your kind of mindset of wanting to do that?
well, it's a couple things. Number one, it was like I wanted to change the prologue because I felt like I could do the 20 plus page prologue, which was a lot of people having a stumbling block. And I think a lot of people ending up DNFing by the time they get to chapter like 20 or so, because the prologue starts out so long and
Mm.
then it's character introductions, and nothing real, like boom, like there's a something exciting, right? People might be excited by the discovery and knowing the characters and all this stuff happening, but they're nothing too distinctly exciting. And so I felt like the pacing was kind of off in those first 20 chapters, um, especially because the prologue was so long. So I wanted to change that. I had written a scene that I didn't know where I was going to put it. I literally could have put it in book three, book four, book five, book two, didn't matter. And I was like, you know what? There's a spot in book one right around that slowish part where I think people tend to DNF. I think people tend to DNF between when they first meet Thepos. I think the grim, like the Thepos is not a great character. I mean, like he's not a great character. Does he have one of the more exciting arcs? Yes. It's not a spoiler, but yes, for anyone who is reading, it's a very exciting arc. But in book one, he's not the most fun. He's not a fun character to read, right? He's so down and so pretty much like just so depressedly pathetic that I think people tend to tap out if they're like, if this is how it's going to be, I'm out. But I think that stretch between chapter 9 and 20 is where people tend to DNF. And so I had a spot in there where I'm like, this really fun, exciting little magic battle scene um, kind of would fit perfectly right here and give the story just kind of like another era of like epic magic in a very like gritty and real world that maybe it kind of lacked prior.
Mm.
Um, to just yeah, so I wanted to do that. I needed to get a different cover artist because my cover artist had expressed it was like he had expressed that it'd be hard to find a similar character style for book 2 through 5 because he was just
Mm.
doing asset manipulation, which I didn't really realize when I hired him. And so I was like, if you're expressing doubt at book 2, I'm not going to want to redo 3 books when I get to book 4. So I was like,
Yeah.
screw it. I'm just going to do it now. Find my person, which I have.
Mm.
And then I got some advice from other indies on like a launch strategy to really try to catch the algorithm. It didn't work.
Mm.
However, I mean, people are still buying the book and stuff. It's going fine. It didn't hit the like stratospheric place that we had hoped to get to, mainly because many of the things that worked up to 2020, late 22, early 23, because of the dilution of the amount of people publishing through the pandemic, the efficacy of those things has been reduced.
Mm.
Ads very much reduced. Like they're not as efficacious as they used to be. A lot of the book promos, I mean, all these things still work,
Mhm.
but do they work to the degree that it feels like I'm making money and spending not as much money as I'm making a lot more money. Um, Sending out arcs,
Mm.
even like that, has also gone down, like appearing on a big booktube. Well, it depends on who it is. If you're like, if Daniel Green does a 20-minute, this was the one I was waiting for. But if Daniel Green does like a 20-minute feature on your book, absolutely, it's going to have an effect.
Mhm.
But like a lot of the ones that are like sub 100,000, it all of that stuff still does work, and it all works in tandem. But does any one of them really have like a huge spike? And also the algorithm changed. The algorithms changed both the last 2 years, and the big change came this year, right before book one's relaunch, right?
Mm.
And because of the onset of AI and the algorithm really trying to be even more. Hold on one second. Um, because of the onset of AI, Amazon and a lot of booksellers have had to kind of figure out like they need to suppress that, right? Because they don't want to sell people things that aren't relevant to them or that they won't end up liking and reviewing in a positive way.
Mm.
And I think because of that suppression, it's and some of the other changes they've made, it's made it a little harder to like keep rising and stay high. They suppress spikes in sales. So even if Daniel Green reviewed my book for 20 minutes and had a big spike, it might have a big impact, but also like algorithmically, it definitely won't have as big an impact as it would have had in 2020.
Mm. It's
So there's a
interesting.
lot of factors there, but I'm still going through my launch plan, but I've also like relaxed on it quite a bit because book 3 is not coming out in January. So
Yeah. You got a little bit of breathing room now.
yeah, exactly. But there's still a lot of exciting things. There's some translation rights discussions happening. Being invited into the Grimoire and potentially going to be in another one of those at some point.
Mm.
Um, Working, there's some other author opportunities, some Kickstarter things. So working with and networking to any indie authors out there, I still think networking is the lifeblood of any business, and books are their business as well.
Mm.
Even if you do it for the love of the game, but having a network and being a cool person in your network, it never gets old, and it's never going to go against you. unless
Mhm.
you suck. Then it'll go against you, and rightly so.
Yeah, exactly. They're well deserved against.
Yeah. Yep.
What
Exactly.
what in the indie scene, one of the things that especially that you mentioned in the launch plan was the, the marketing, the social media, that type of stuff.
Mhm.
The algorithm hitting, all those type of things. Um, I never considered any of that. Granted, I'm not an author. I don't have anything like that planned, but even just like doing this, it was never like I'm going to focus on the algorithm and use keywords and make this hit. But for someone like you who's been in the scene for a little bit and just did the relaunch and everything, do you what did it come naturally to you to get involved in the social media and the marketing, or were you like, I got into this to write? Like, I am not here to
Oh,
make reels. This is uncomfortable. Is this like a learning curve that you had to go through?
I did way better when I was doing like social media for my coaching, honestly. Like I probably didn't get as good of results. However, like it looked better and I was more consistent. The amount of time and energy that goes into just creating a book is so much that at least for the way I do it, I know some people don't maybe spend as much time on the book themselves. Um, but by God, I just don't like the social media and marketing.
Mhm,
It's too close to home, too much a part of my heart to feel good about it. Coaching stuff when I was doing that much more. I mean, I was like, oh, it's a business. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I'm a coach. Like, I'm trying to help people and I got to get the word out. Like, I don't know. It just wasn't, I mean, it's still a part of who I was, but I didn't have the passion for it like I have for books.
mhm.
So, if there's any publishers out there that want to drop high six figures on me for my series,
I'm right
fuck
here.
yeah, dude, I'm right here for you. Um, because ultimately, like, I actually had some fun in certain aspects of it. Talking to people,
Mhm,
relating with people and the networking piece, like I really enjoy that just because I like people.
mhm,
So that part comes easy, and so I just kind of keep leaning into that and hoping someday it somehow works out. And some massive YouTuber booktubers really enjoy my book in addition to me, but I also don't care if they enjoy my book. I just also just like meeting them because they love books and we can talk about it.
mhm,
So I will say what I think is the most effective thing for any indie authors out there, or trad authors. It seems like posting a lot to social media right now and being really heavily engaged in social media, because the algorithm switch with Amazon involved them no longer valuing their own ecosystem in Amazon. They want external traffic driven in. They like prioritized from everything I've heard. I could be totally wrong, so whatever. Don't fucking lace me up in the comments, people. But driving in traffic from other platforms, which is tricky though, because a lot of the statistics are a little skewed because AI bots are so flooded in the other platforms, specifically
mhm,
like Meta and Instagram. But the thing I've found that does do the best thing I did was people who have 5 to 15,000 followers, giving them an arc because and being highly engaged.
mhm,
So it seemed like if people had way more than that, maybe the engagement isn't quite as high because there's too many people to engage with. But it seemed like a tight knit, like, yeah, we're in this together for those groups of people. And then posting a lot to social media. If someone's got the bandwidth for that and they want to do that, like, and they're good at it, like, it's gonna go great.
mhm.
Create your social media community, keep expanding it, keep focusing on it. Honestly, even newsletters have, like, because I did a giveaway and I thought, there's a little giveaway. It's for like novellas and stuff. And I thought, oh, it's for Willow Wraith. That's so funny. And I thought, I probably won't get that many. Maybe 50 subscribers to my newsletter that are new or something like that.
Mhm.
And ended up getting the list of possible people who signed up for the giveaway, and I input them in my newsletter, and 0 people were new to me.
Hmm.
So everyone was already on it that I that I knew, and I was like, man, so interesting. And it's just like so many of the people who are on the newsletters for all the indie authors end up being on all the indie authors newsletters.
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot of the things that we're working I feel like we're in an interesting point right now where there's a lot of hybridizations occurring with
Hmm.
like trad and indie, kind of like going the other directions, and then coming back. They're kind of like weaving together more and more. And I think that's a place to understand as a focus. Um, and just, yeah, not more to do with it than that, unless you want to do something more with that. But my observation is just that is a really important part of it, is just like social media, driving traffic from social media, create your community, drive traffic from social media over to Amazon or wherever you're selling, and then network like crazy and meet all the people. Love going to conventions, and um, understand that the hybrid world is probably going to be the biggest one moving forward. It's just potentially a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear a lot of that talk. It's like I said when I first asked, I never even considered it, and one of the things that I also never really even considered is people who automatically buy book, not automatically, but who buy book one and even like it. The retention rate is so hard to keep going through the rest of the series, which I never even realized. I hear that all the time, and I'm like, why wouldn't you keep doing that? People are like, oh yeah, I loved book one, and it's like, well, have you continued? Like, what do you think of two? And they're like, haven't got it yet. And it's like, man, how much more do you guys have to even do to be like, I put out good shit, they liked it, and it's not continue. It's just very
This
strange.
word to the people. This is the industry of patience. It takes forever to write a book. It takes forever to rewrite it and edit it and get it formatted and get a cover, and then it takes a while to get it published. And then once it's published, it takes a while to get readers, and it takes forever to read the books, especially when they're huge. To any writer out there, even if you are a flash in the pan super success, it will take you it'll take you 10 years potentially to like get to real like notoriety level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anybody who's looking ahead, it's like, don't expect, just keep working, keep doing your thing, do all the things that you can, but as right as you can, and just expect that there will be a return in 5 to 10 years.
Some good input.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. I was just talking to I talked to I talked at length with Christopher Rucchio about this at Dragon Steel Nexus, and he kind of echoed the same. And I actually think another person, I can't remember who it was, one of the other authors in the Grimoire, they kind of also echoed the same, because it's true. I mean, you look at all the Red Rising, I mean, these books were Red Rising, First Law, Joe Abercrombie, like they were successful, but when did the success really peak? It took years,
Mm-hmm.
years, and years. I feel like Red Rising is just within the last few years really actually peaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's been out since 2014.
that's crazy. Actually, I don't think I knew that.
Let's see. When was Red Rising first published? 2014.
Wow, good call.
So 11 years it's been out.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it's just now peaking and entering more mainstream, even though it's got tons of good reads, tons of ratings and reviews, right? So anyways, and it's not fully, the whole series isn't really even like, would you call it two series? I guess they're two
Yeah,
series,
it's
but
like two different arcs, I guess.
it still feels like one series. It's
Yeah.
not finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's the thing about books, is like it's hard. Yeah, right. That's because that's when you found it, and you look at your Goodreads as an author and you go, wow, there's like thousands of people on here. They're just buying the book, two
Mm-hmm.
and 3 books a day, or however many, 10 books a day, 100 books a day for, people doing that thing. And TBRs are long, dude. I have 100 books on my shelf right now. I'm maybe gonna read. We'll
Yeah.
see. It just
We'll
goes
get
slow.
there one day.
Yeah, my eyes are bigger than my stomach. So which is actually false, unfortunately. My stomach is huge.
And I'm sorry.
Um, but this is the patience game, right? And people are working through their TBR, which is unfortunate because it does feel like you have to get more books later in the series. The more you do that, the more excitement there is, and the more people start to go, "Whoa, wait a second, this series." And I would say even more so for like a series like mine,
Mhm.
where the payoffs haven't even started.
Mhm.
Like bad shit's happened. Cool things are going on. Characters
Mhm.
are super interesting, maybe, and having big developments. But it's almost like by the end of book two, it's like, and now they're ready to for the shit that's coming, right?
Mhm.
And then book three through five is like gonna be pretty much all we're heading toward all the things,
The
the
shit.
climax. So the shit's going
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
And I wanted to touch on book two because again, sick cover.
Thanks.
But pivoting also to just the writing style, what or not style, but process. One of the things that I love asking authors, because I am such an uncreative person, I could make jokes very quickly, and some hit,
It's good.
some don't. That's my talent, and it's a
Make a joke
shitty one
now.
because
Make one right now, Pete.
oh, it's terrible. What's the best? What's the best thing about Switzerland?
Something about them being neutral, like you can take anything you want. I don't know.
I don't know, but the flag's a big plus.
Okay, that's pretty good.
See, not bad. I have like a couple on deck where it's like, did you know Mortal Kombat was based on a Scandinavian folktale?
What?
It's a Finnish hymn.
Oh my god. I don't know why they're both the same lane of joke, but the first one made me laugh and the second one hurt me. Why? Why is that?
Painful.
I want to know
Painful.
the I want to know the reason.
I
But
don't know. And I don't know why both of those are just there, but
yeah, that
it
was
is
good.
anyway,
Okay.
uncreative type. For someone like
Debatable.
you who is planning something where it's 5 books, 5 heavy books, hundreds and hundreds of pages, when you are I'm stepping back for a sec. I'm reading. I have book one on physical, book two on Kindle, and one of the coolest parts of the Kindle is that you can see what other people highlight, whether
Oh
it's like
yeah.
a line that is like meaningful to them or just badass, cool,
Mhm.
all sorts of stuff. You could see it when you are writing. Do you know the instant something is either on the page or on the computer, I just crushed that, or that paragraph is exactly what I wanted, or anything like that? Or does it take, your beta readers or an ARC reader, someone to point that out and highlight it in your little your Google Doc and go crushed it, or do you know
Mm.
right away as the author?
It's kind of a mix. Like sometimes people, I've literally had so many people quote the book and like put it out there, and I'm like, I wrote that. That's badass. I was like, that's fantastic sentence. Like, hey, Michael, good job, buddy. Like, it's so weird to see it and go like, what? I did that? I had no idea I did that. Because when I read through the book, I'm like, what sucks?
Mhm.
Where's the shitty stuff? If I see something good, my brain just skips immediately. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, moving on. Like, like, where do I need to hurt myself in this garbage pile? And that's really kind of the mentality. So I think I miss a lot of that. There are times when I've had to go to the bathroom for like 4 hours and I'm sitting there and my legs are shaking and I'm like, I can't stop. This is a fucking awesome scene. And then, you go back and look at it and you're like, what the hell was I writing? This is absolute dog crap. And you just don't know. But then there are moments, where it's like, there's like a specific, I'm like, oh man, this scene, like there's a few in book three where I'm like, this is going to really fuck. Like, that sounds really cool
Mhm.
and people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, chills," kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, honestly, I think one of the most badass things I ever. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was like, that's a cool thing for someone to yell while they're like murdering people. Is there is a character in one of the first books who is killing people and yelling "Tinder" and "into the fire," like like they're like just pieces of wood and they're like a raging inferno, like chewing it up. It doesn't sound as badass or cool when I say it, but in the book, I thought that was cool. But I mean, that was a first book, and now I don't really think about it too often.
Mm.
So
Interesting. It's a lot of people have said the mixed bag thing, where sometimes it hits, and then other times it's like, no, I thought that sucked. And then every once in a while, someone quotes something, and it's just like, huh, I guess that is pretty nice.
Yep.
I just like asking that because it's like a very when it hits, and or even when it doesn't in your mind, but when you see it connect to someone that way, it's got to just be really cool. Like it's very cool. It's that you made an emotional impact in a person's life like that, where they connect to it so strongly. It's just got to be a very cool feeling, I would imagine.
Now I'm all interested in the highlights that on Kindle. I'm like, I wonder what
You,
I'm like, what's the most highlighted sentence in book 2? I have no idea. It'd be cool to know.
yeah, you're going to be probably up after the call and just like scouting and being like, that's not what I meant. Tracking down who highlighted it.
I've actually been writing a 7,000 word short story the last week. I had a 10 a 10-day deadline that I couldn't possibly do because I was traveling for a few of the days. So I had like a 1 week deadline for 7,000 words to write the story, rewrite, right? And I was doing all of that, like plus my day job, and I'm planning a Kickstarter, and I'm working with the audio company for the audiobook
Mm-hmm.
and life and Christmas preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So the last couple nights I have slept like an absolute rock. Like, when you're like sleeps hard and you're like, oh my gosh, there's drill everywhere. And so I shall not be staying up doing what you're saying. I shall be eating and then watching Culinary Class Wars if fate prefers me over my wife's preferences. And then I shall be sleeping and it'll be great.
It sounds a little bit better. What is your wife preferring?
So probably some documentary that's dark and uncomfortable.
Isn't that weird how that works?
Yeah, yeah.
My
I mean,
wife does
once in a
that
while I like
too.
it. She like wants to watch the like the Sean Diddy Combs thing,
We
and I'm
just
like,
watched it.
did you? Because I'm
Yeah,
like,
but not a
yeah,
good
I'll
guy.
watch it.
And I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to take this stand. Real piece of shit.
Twist ending. Nope, not a twist ending. He's be shit. I already knew. I already know. I don't need to watch it to know. Let's get into the weeds about how
Diddy's a
shitty
bad
he is.
guy, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Culinary Class Wars, however,
Significantly
Korean
more fun.
cuisine. Who's going home? What's the food that I don't know? A lady was a brewmaster. Her drink got her through. I don't know.
That
So.
sounds way more fun.
Oh yeah. Do you watch Physical 100? Dude, I love. Korea is dominating the reality show sphere in my opinion.
No, I'm gonna have to look into it now, though.
Oh, Physical 100. Oh, so good. I mean, the first episode of both shows, they're like the exact same format almost. Physical 100 and Culinary Class Wars. Just know that the first episode it's just so cheesy. It's just so cheesy how they like introduce the people on the show. After that, it's the best like game show mechanics and pacing. They're just so good at keeping you like, what is going to happen? And then the episode ends and you're like, motherfucker. Like, I hate you.
I'm gonna have to watch them. I do like the work at night. I read, I do stuff. I sat down last night and 2 nights ago, and my wife was just like, I go, you want to watch something? She's like, yeah, I've been meaning to watch this and cry. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing in here? And she like turned on A Walk to Remember, which I never saw before, but like good movie, but I feel like I got too hyped and was ready to cry. And I was like, yeah, it's sad, but okay. But it's like, we're watching the Diddy documentary now. I've been meaning to rewatch this and cry was something that came out of her mouth. I was like, what do we do? It's 10 o'clock at night.
You're an early morning weeper. I cried last night watching Culinary Class Wars. I'm not even
Your
kidding.
favorite guy go home?
No, it just okay. So it was like someone got through to the next round and they were like having a breakdown about it. And it was just really like, I don't know, sweet that they were like, it was just like, oh, look, they're like so happy and shocked that they made it.
Hmm.
Like they could not hold it together, and they were like apologizing, and it was just really sweet. Like
It's nice.
I I will cry at weird little like moments like that. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but like when something hits me like that, where it feels like them breaking in that moment is an entire story unraveling like before your eyes.
Mhm.
Like you just know what they have put into being there,
Yeah.
right? And how important it is to them. And like, I don't know, it just although I watch like, sports like they win their MVP thing or like win the championship and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Everybody
Yeah,
deserves
exactly.
MVP.
Because you're
It's
kind of
not
getting to see
personal.
them. They're peeling the curtain back a little into their life.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it's cool. It's an emotional
So
connection. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to
it was
watch both of
just sweet.
those.
It was a sweet moment.
Mm.
It's not like a feel good show though. My goodness, I watched Culinary Class Wars for the judges, who
Mm.
are so harsh. It's just like it's awesome, but they're smart about. They're not just being dicks to be dicks.
Mhm.
The one guy in particular is just like he's so intentional. It's like I'm sorry you're going home. This dish wasn't perfect, and I don't care who you
Mm.
are.
Yeah,
And just send people home.
is what it is.
His critique is non-discerning, and I love it. So.
Yeah. I'm gonna look both of them up. That sounds significantly more fun than a Mandy Moore movie with leukemia. Um,
Oh God.
Not
Ouch.
great.
No, can't handle that.
Yeah.
No, no
So
thanks. No
I'll,
thanks.
I'm gonna pivot off of that for the next one, and
Go
now
for
it's
it.
my turn. But yeah, the Diddy documentary was good.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. And speaking of pivoting, I always ask you about this, so I figured this was more appropriate to end it on because
Mhm.
the main story everybody knows, and it's still getting worked on. But this was one of my favorites of your works,
Oh yeah. Oh.
and I love this story. Is there any news coming out about a sequel or anything for Way of Wizards? Or are you so engrossed in the main story trying to get those out that this is on the back burner, which is fine, but I would be remiss if I didn't remind you that this is a great story in its own right.
I appreciate that. And my wife's always telling me, she's like, don't sleep on Way of the Wizard. Like, it's a good book. Like,
Mhm.
just because Dreams of Dust and Steel is more popular, just don't, and like don't give up on it. And I haven't given up on it, but there is kind of like an author death that can occur if you're non-established and you suddenly are working in two different series.
Mm,
You're just gonna like because it's a slow industry and yet readers still want things fast.
mhm,
You're kind of ostracizing them to some degree, and it's maybe not the best idea.
mm.
Um,
Makes sense.
that said, I have probably 20 or 30,000 words of book two written for Way of the
Mm,
Wizard. I went right after I released it. I was like, I'm gonna write book two, and then I was like, "Do, do, do, do," and then I was like, ooh, it's going real slow. My
mm,
energy doesn't feel good about this. Pull back. What do
mm.
we really want to do? And so I put a pause on it. I know pretty much how I want it to end, and I know what's gonna happen, but it has problems. It has some like issues with the execution and like how it works out that I'm like, it might take me more time than I need. But
Mm.
after I do book three of Dreams of Dust and Steel, I think I am gonna write another book. So there may be like more of a gap between book three and book four.
Mm.
A part of that is just me like taking a small break, right?
Mhm.
From hustling so hard. And another part is like allowing it to breathe and grow
Yeah.
in popularity, allow people to talk amongst themselves, allow it to matriculate, and also honor some of the other creative things that are popping up. Like I
Mm.
have two other books that I think are absolutely badass that I've had some people look at and go, wow, this sounds fucking awesome.
Mm.
And so I'm almost considering doing like a couple one offs.
Mm.
Um, but probably I'm not going to write like three books, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but after I release Banners of Wrath and finish my Kickstarter, I may keep writing. I've already written some of book four. but we'll see what I do. Like I've always been what I call a dancer, not a
Mhm.
plotter, not a pantser. I'm a dancer. I will go where the energy is because that's where the most productivity is going to be. Um, I would say that I would be forcing myself probably not to write Dreams of Dust and Steel, and I would maybe be forcing myself to write Way of the Wizard.
Mhm.
But it's tough. I'm not sure. Like I know Way of the Wizard is still really fun. Like
Mhm.
it's progression fantasy, by the way. Like the more I've discovered about progression fantasy versus like lit RPG or lit RPG, I don't know. Whichever one is the one where it doesn't require like an exact like at the end of the chapter it shows you your stat line or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Bastion, it doesn't have like a stat line, so it's whatever that one is.
Mhm.
Um, whatever that one is progression or lit
I think
RPG.
progression.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I think I wrote a progression fantasy because it really does also hit a lot of the tropes of progression fantasy. Um, so I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
you
that
know,
was thoroughly enjoyable.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry, man. I know
Don't even
you're
worry
waiting.
about
I know
it.
you're
It's cool
waiting.
that there's portions of book two written, and it's again, that's something I would have never even considered. Where it's like if that many people are waiting on the main series, it's very hard, especially as an up and coming author, to be like, hold on, like, and then go to something else. And I definitely
Mhm.
appreciate the dancer mentality as opposed to anything, because it almost would be an injustice to yourself and other people waiting to force yourself to go to a story that you're not in the mindset to write. It,
It
like,
just won't come
it
out
would
good.
suffer.
And it won't come out good if you don't
Yeah.
if you force yourself to write something. So I wrote a book years ago. Actually, fun story. Iniog from Way of the Wizard,
Mm.
Iniog, the giant,
Hmm.
has his own book, and it was the first book I ever wrote.
Oh, that's cool.
The entire middle is garbage. Um, and it was because I just was like, I just want to finish a book. And so I finished the book. It wasn't very long, it's probably 60 something thousand words. But that's another one too. Like I think Iniog is an extremely compelling main character
Hmm.
of his own other story. And he references it, by the way, in Way of the Wizard. There's some universal connections happening there. Um,
Interesting.
yep, he does reference his life in another book that I wrote that never was published or even rewritten.
Huh. That's
But the middle
cool.
was super problematic of that book because, like, literally the feedback was like, I would cut the entire middle of this book. Like, it
Mm.
just isn't doing anything. And it was because I was just sitting at the keyboard going, like, I have to write words and not just, if you're not flowing, then it's not coming out well.
Yeah, not passing the vibe check.
Rewriting, different.
Hmm.
Editing, different. You could force yourself to sit down and do those things because it becomes completely like technical based.
Hmm.
But like actual story creation itself requires some flow. It
Mm.
really does. Um, at least for me. And that's my process. And by the way, everything else I said, mileage may vary. I don't know. Publishing
Yeah.
industry, mileage may vary. Everybody's going to have a different path to success. So
Yeah. It's cool. It's very nice to see how open and honest you are about all this type of stuff. And I want to also give a shout out to your Discord, the cult, because
yes.
it's awesome. I need to start being more active there. I started a new job like 6, 7 months ago. I've died down on my daytime posting as opposed to tech support, where I was like, restart your computer. Oh yeah, so these
Oh
books are great.
yeah.
Like, which is
Yeah.
what I was doing, and
Mhm.
now I'm working.
Mhm.
But the cult Discord, if anyone is interested in it, I highly recommend it. A lot of really cool stuff there. You're very accessible, which is
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The cult is, everybody told me I would start a cult someday, so this is it. And I'm like, yes, this is perfect. I'm calling it the cult. So yeah, I love it in there. I've actually had a ton of people join, and then like they're like, literally, there's so much going on. I had to just mute it and quit. And I was
It's a
like,
lot.
yeah, you weren't ready. I mean, this is like a pretty active Discord. It's like really fun, and like everybody's great, and we have like good vibes and fun discussions and I'm a part of it, but also like I pop in and out. So yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for the shout out of the cult.
yeah, of
All the
course.
cultists
And
out there doing
all
your
the
things.
cultists out there, yes,
Yeah,
represent. And
yeah.
I would also be remiss if I didn't uh, throw my hat into the ring because I won the contest in the cult Discord, and I'm
Yes,
going to be a
I heard
character
about
down
that.
the line. So
You
I'm very
are.
much looking forward to that whenever that comes up.
I was
Uh,
thinking about that today earlier, actually, because of this, and I was like coming up with all these cool names, and I'm like, okay, how much and to what extent am I like representing Pete? And like I was like, I need to go back and look at our like exchange because I think I told you I had an idea, but then I was like, how did I come to this idea for this ruptured, who's like a giant fat person? And I'm like, why was that the thing? Because I usually ask people like, what is your like greatest source of suffering or something? And I'm like, what the hell was his answer that brought that character up? You know?
I
So I can't remember, but
have
I
no
was like,
idea.
and then I started thinking today, I was like, what if I make, I was like, what if I make him a curd? I think that
Mm.
could be cool. And I had a cool idea for maybe one of those. But anyways, I'll hit you up separately and we'll talk about it.
And I was very happy because I don't know why I thought I was under the assumption that I had to die, and you were very generous and were like, "Do you want to live?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, yeah, I didn't know that was an option.
Most people want to die. I
I
mean,
know.
there's a guy, there's a guy who was like he there was an auction for charity that Anna Smith Spark organized, and this fella um he bought he like won for my book, for hers, and for Steven Erickson's or something. Like it was like multiple things, and he wanted to die in my book. And so in the beginning of book 3 he's gonna die, and it is like I'm like so happy about it because he gets punched, like, but not just like a punch from a normal human, a punch from like an awakened,
Hmm.
and like explodes into a horse that's behind him, kind of at the, like here's him, he gets punched, and then he goes boom and hits the horse, and the horse flies back too, like,
Yeah, so
you
he
know.
dies.
Oh yeah, like he's dead on impact from the punch, but then he also his flying body hits a horse and it also dies, unfortunately.
That's very like how Isaac Hayes died in South Park when they killed Chef. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like he like falls off the cliff, then gets set on fire, then like has salt dumped on him, and then something else happens, and it's like, oh, he is
He's
dead.
dead.
Like he is dead, dead.
Amazing. Oh, South Park still going strong. So weird.
Still going strong. It's actually very strange how good they are still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess isn't that strange. They're
Not
geniuses.
that strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also not strange. Strange, but not strange. So
Yeah. It's very funny every once in a while something comes up and like the Book of Mormon came up. My music playlist is out of control. Like the Wiggles were my number one artist this year on Spotify. And then
I don't know what
Book
that
of
is.
Mormon play comes up and then it's followed by like Big L. And I'm like, what is happening on this?
Dude, I will say I've been to a lot of Broadway plays, and the Book of Mormon is still the most entertaining thing I've ever seen. Like the production value is unparalleled. Like
Mm-hmm.
the curtain drops and you turn to say something, and the curtain's rising, and you're like, oh shit. It's like that fast. The whole set is different within seconds. It's so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, and it's got like, it's got some heart to it, and it's like also the most inappropriate thing I've probably ever seen. But
It is
anyways,
out of
it's
control.
great.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
went
it
with
is.
my parents and my grandpa and like some
Ooh.
cousins because my parents love South Park. I have two
Nice.
brothers, so
Okay.
you're screwed.
Same.
And I was with sitting next to my grandpa, like on one side, and I remember there was an old couple. This was like immediately after it premiered because we're South Park fans, and we were sitting there, and like some old like swanky couple is next to me. You can tell that we're just like, oh, honey, did you see the Tonys this play won? And like we're sitting next to me, and it got to the part where it's where they're cursing God, and they're like, "Fuck you, God," and keep going, and this couple just goes and just gets up and leaves, and I was like, "Oh, this is
Oh
this
man.
is perfect in real life," but like everyone else is dying laughing. But yeah, I can't believe that was on Broadway.
It's kind of stunning, to be honest with you, but that's the magic of those guys, is their ability to be like so well respected. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love Book of Mormon. That was amazing.
Yeah, It is great. And what
Good for
other?
her.
I
You
was
see
like,
what Gabby said? Gabby
yeah,
said something funny.
and not knowing what it's about. She's 100% right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are idiots.
They bought it, and you could tell. You could tell it was just one of those like, we're gonna go out to dinner, and the play won 12 Tonys. Like you can just I'm sitting next to him in like a plaid shirt and like torn Converse, and I was like, it's like in South Park. This is great.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was like, I don't know
Uh-huh.
what to tell you guys.
Yeah. No, they had to learn the hard way, which is you got to see the lesson, don't be the lesson. But that's what it is.
It's a
Like I said,
baptism by
speak your lesson.
fire.
Yeah.
But before signing off, I know a lot of other people are going to be just as curious as me. I'm going to be working on it. I'm very bad at editing, but I already asked your favorite books of the year, Indie and Trad, and everything like that. But if you had to say what your biggest influences were in inspiring you to take such a, like you said, intricate story
Mhm.
and really kind of dive in. It doesn't even
Mhm.
have to be a specific author or anything like that. Just what inspired you to kind of just go, you know what? Fuck it. Like, this is a good story and I'm going to tell it.
The writing of it or like the creation? Like
Go
starting
for
to think
both.
I
You
want to
still
write a
got
book
time.
or
You can
sorry, what?
answer both.
Okay. When I was little, my dad, we'd go on like car trips, and I have two older brothers too, and we'd be on these long car trips, and I'd hear like the audiobooks for like David Eddings,
Mm,
the Sparhawk series. And that was like really cool. And so I started like drawing characters and I'd be like, 3,000 pounds, it's 5'11" and blah, blah, blah. And like X-Men, So like I just kept creating these characters, even though I sucked at drawing. My older brother was like an incredible drawer, like straight up savant. Um, but I'd just give him their stats, be like, good guy, bad guy. And then like, he's like this. And I'd give him all these vibes, I was actually pretty good at like the ideas of the picture, but the picture execution was terrible. Um, so I've always been like into creating characters because of X-Men and stuff. And then I read the Rift War saga and started like developing the world. My map is kind of loosely map of Namar kind of like probably follows a lot of the like same shaping as like Midkemia and the Rift War saga. And then man, when I hit 19 and got the Game of Thrones book and read that, I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be a writer. I'm gonna write this book.
mm,
Like, oh my gosh, it was it was like someone made a fantasy book for me.
mhm,
Like, I was like, thank you. It's not just BS.
mhm,
These characters are in danger. They may die. The best fighter in the world is fighting two people.
mhm,
Therefore, he's fucked, right?
mhm,
Like it's like, yes, you know? Like it was like finally something that's gritty and dark and not just all about the magic and the heroism. It's about like the real people. And that kind of unlocked a whole new level of like where I wanted to go with my writing. And at the time I was reading a lot of things like Albert Camus' The Stranger and like Ishmael and all these, like classic college shit. And so like it just fell into this part of my life that was a little bit more, it was like something that I loved, and I was exploring kind of like the philosophical sense of like identity and like wanting to be more intellectual. And that I was like it was like kind of the first time I was like, I want to be a writer,
mhm,
not just write a book, you know. I wanted to write a book when I was little, like seventh grader, but then to be a writer, I started thinking in those terms in my early 20s. Then I
mhm,
joined this really prolific writing group called the Wordos that is amazing, and it's still around. It's 40 years old. It's a 40-year-old book. In fact, when I talked to George R. R. Martin, I was like, oh yeah, it's like part of the Wordos, and it's like started by Damon Knight and I couldn't think of the other person's lady's name. And he goes, Kate Wilhelm. So you're
mhm.
from the Valley. Like George R. R. Martin knows about a writing group. Like it's kind of a legit writing group, right?
Yeah.
I learned so much in that writing group. I attended like every week for 3 years. Um, and then yeah, I just decided one day I was like, if I die, who's gonna write this book? And then I
Mhm,
was like, oh shit, nobody's gonna write this book. Oh shit, I better write this book now. Like
mhm,
I was like, wait until I was 50. I was like, I'm gonna be a writer when I retire, or like, am late in life. And I was like, oh no, I better start now. This takes a while.
Yeah.
So I got started, and then I got so jacked like writing it. I was like, oh my God, this is all the things I like. You know, it's turned into this frantic, like drink a half a pot of coffee and go insane kind of thing. But
Mm.
yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm glad you moved up the timeline so the rest of us could enjoy it.
Yeah, right. Books maybe not even exist when I'm like 60. I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
exactly.
Yeah.
Someone at my job won a pair of Meta AI glasses with the screen today, so books are going away apparently. I was like, what the
That's
hell just happened? It's like
cryptocurrency.
I used to have something in the front of my car where I would drive and I could play DVDs, and people would get in my car and be like, that should be illegal. And these glasses should be illegal. It's just
100%.
it's
Well, you're not
weird.
allowed to look at your phone screen while you're driving, but a Tesla has a fucking computer screen in your face that you have to
Mhm.
like navigate, and it's like that is way worse.
Yeah, wait, I
Um,
always thought that was funny with cops too. How like you can get pulled
man,
over for texting and they have a fucking laptop next to a shotgun in the middle. And I was like, what's happening? Like, what's going
uh-huh.
on?
Yeah, it
But
doesn't make sense, does it?
mm-mm.
Yeah.
But
Um, yeah, go for it.
before calling it an evening, I already mentioned the cult. But can you tell other people where they can follow you and purchase the books?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on social media. Pretty much everything is either michaelmichelauthor.com. So that's Michael as it's spelled, Michelle, Michel, author, like it's spelled.com. Cult, yes. Um, and that's like my social media handle for Instagram and and it's my author website, michaelmichelauthor.com. If you do Twitter or TikTok, it's Michael Book Cult. Michael Book Cult. And that should work.
Mm,
But you can find my work on Amazon if you want to order physical copies. I ship those direct in the US. And I also like personalize them and throw in like bookmarks and stuff. If you're an ebook reader, then the best place to go is Amazon and make
mm,
sure you get the right edition. The Price of Power, Dreams of Dust and Steel.
mm.
Um, but yeah, and then I've got these like novellas that are also for sale, and that's like a separate prequel story that's more like George Washington if he was a slave.
Mm. That's a see, that was your sales pitch. I asked that was the first question. You already nailed it.
That's the novellas, though.
I should have started with that.
That's the Dreams of Dust and Steel sagas. So, but read the first book, Price of Power, first, then you can get in the novellas as published. I always suggest publishing order. So,
Mhm.
book one, War Song. Book two, Death Dance.
Perfect. There's the reading list. It is not too late to add these to your holiday list. So I would definitely recommend that. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining me. Like I said at the very beginning, this was a long time coming. I feel like you were actually one of the very first people in the whole scene that I talked to and
Oh,
bought
that's
direct from
great.
you. And Shogun, like we said, was coming out when we were first talking.
So good.
So it had to have been like 2 years. I feel like.
Yeah.
So it's really come like a full circle thing from me being like can I have your Venmo account to buy your book? And then finally be able to be like, dude, hop on, let's bullshit. And
Yeah.
I'm very glad that
Today
you
you're
took
the
me up on
Booktuber of the Year.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Double congratulations. That's badass, dude.
Yeah, that was cool. I was very happy about that. It came as a big surprise, so I was pretty pumped. But yeah, onwards and upwards into 2026. We have more of these shows coming on, and we have more of Michael's books coming out. So keep an eye on those, and I hope you and your family have a great holiday, sir, and everyone else in the chat as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. I hope you have a good holiday as well, and like it's have a restful time before baby two comes. And yeah, I'm honored to be here. Super happy I got to chat with you. It's just cool to talk to you. You know,
Yeah.
just also happens to be a recorder, which is fine. But I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go eat some salmon. My
Ooh,
wife's rain sticks are organized, and now I can venture down into the kitchen and get my food.
good. Go meander and eat. I'm gonna go have Chips Ahoy because it's almost 11 o'clock.
That's what you do at 11.
Have
All
a
right.
good rest of your night, brother.
Peace, everybody.